The year is 1971. A mass exodus of refugees from East Pakistan has rocked the Indian subcontinent with a humanitarian crisis. A country was on the verge of splitting into two halves. Fall of the same year, a deadly war breaks out between India and Pakistan. As the clouds of war began to thunder across the subcontinent, the Indian Air Force would go on to prove its might. As tensions simmered hot, both India and Pakistan positioned their forces, anticipating a war anytime soon. Posted at Dum Dum airstrip in Calcutta was a detachment of No. 22 Squadron Swifts of the Indian Air Force. Raised after the 1965 war, the unit was equipped with HAL-built Gnats and were tasked to safeguard the skies over Calcutta sector. The first of the ground battles between Indian-assisted Mukti Bahini and the Pakistani forces broke out on 21st November 1971, with the Pakistan Air Force entering combat the very next day. Aerial defense of East Pakistan was tasked to the hands of 14 Squadron PAF, which was equipped with the improved Canadair F-86 Sabre. Powered by the new Orenda engine, the Sabre had a better performance than its original American counterpart. At around 8:11 hours, a formation of Gnats was scrambled from Dum Dum to intercept a formation of Pakistani Sabres. But by the time the Gnats approached the hot zone, the Sabres had already left the place. Another failed intercept attempt took place at 10:18 hours, with Sabres again successfully leaving the scene unscathed. At 14:48 hours, a third interception call was made and 4 Gnats were scrambled to intercept the incoming Sabre. Leading the Gnat formation was then Flight Lieutenant Massey. Within 3 minutes, the Gnats were up in the air, dashing towards the hot zone. 8 minutes into the mission, Massey spots the enemy Sabres pulling up from a dive. 1 o'clock, 10 nautical miles, crackled the radio as ground controller Flying Officer Bagchi spoke. "Contact, I see them," responded Massey. "Right wing over attack," shouted Bagchi. "Half, 12,000 yards." Massey crackled over the radio. "Contact, request type," said Bagchi. "Sabres," replied Massey. "Shoot," the flight controller ordered. Gnats immediately pounced on the Sabre's tail, and Massey and his wingman Flying Officer Suarez broke towards one side, while Flight Lieutenant Ganapathy and Flying Officer Lazarus broke towards the other side. Suddenly, in an awkward maneuver, 2 enemy Sabres positioned themselves right in front of Ganapathy's and Lazarus's gun sight. "Murder, murder, murder," called Ganapathy, and without wasting any movement, both Ganapathy and Lazarus pulled their triggers. 30 mm shells from their Aiden guns ripped the 2 Sabres apart. And their pilots? They eject. Meanwhile, Massey pulls up over Ganapathy and Lazarus, aiming for the 3rd Sabre. The tactful Sabre pilot breaks into Massey's stern, forcing him to take a high-angle burst. Massey manages to damage the left wing of the Sabre, but in that process, his own right cannon jams. Realizing that the chase had briefly bottomed inside East Pakistani airspace, he decides to rendezvous back with his team and recover. The badly damaged Sabre manages to land back at its base. The valiant actions over Boyra eventually drew the first blood for the Indian Air Force. For their heroic act, Massey, Ganapathy and Lazarus were awarded the Veer Chakra for display of conspicuous act of gallantry when faced with adversity, while Flying Officer Bagchi, who was the ground control intercept for that mission, was awarded Vayu Sena Medal for successfully aiding the mission.